Hey everyone, this is Mary from SVGCuts, and I'm here today with some really fun winter paper projects. And they're not only for winter, you could also adapt most of these to be for any other season, because with our gazebo I included a plain version too, without these icicles and without the snowflakes and everything. And you could also make these without the snowflakes too, just as some nice gift boxes with whatever kind of theme you have in mind. So obviously our gazebo here is really impressive and nice and just really cool to load up with all kinds of glitter and sparkle and shimmer and bling and all that kind of fun stuff. So I had a lot of fun decorating it and using all kinds of fun glitter paper and everything. So you can put it on top of a gift box like this, and actually the ice skate fits inside that box just perfectly. Or you can also, do it without the box on the bottom if you want to, and just put it on this brown, mine is brown, but you could just put it on the base and make the base look however you want it to look. So we also put a bunch of electronic LED tea light candles inside to illuminate it. So I've got a couple of these on the inside. They also make them smaller. You could use smaller ones too. So you could do that, you could put a gift inside, you could put both inside, or you could just make it as a nice decoration or centerpiece. I think it would also look really cool all in like white for a wedding, like wedding shower gift maybe, or some kind of centerpiece. And also, for spring or summer, or maybe patriotic or whatever. So you could really have fun just creating whatever kind of gazebo you want. It's gonna look really awesome. So we also have our ice skate, which is nice and clean, and it's as simple as possible. There's as few pieces as possible. I made it as easy as I could and still have it look like a nice ice skate. So obviously it hangs from this pretty little ribbon, and these holes are reinforced so that it's nice and strong. And once again, I had a lot of fun using my glittery paper and all kinds of sparkles and shimmer and sheen for all these different panels that go on here. So that's a lot of fun, and I will show you in just a minute how that goes together. So we also have some nice, really pretty, really detailed layered snowflake element on top of this box. And like I was saying before, you could totally make it without the snowflake and also without this design on the side. If you want to make it for any other occasion, that's nice too. So also this cute little smaller box, which once again you could make simple and plain if you wanted to. It's nice for a little gift. I think it looks kind of manly actually if you wanted to make it for a guy's birthday or a little anniversary present or something. And then finally we have our cute little lever card, which is surprisingly simple even though it looks like a wow factor card because of the way that it operates. But you could use this sled and the ice skates on a scrapbook page or on a plain card, and you could also use this lever card with something else in the middle. Just whatever you want to put in there is going to look really cute. So the paper that I used this time, I used all of it up. I don't have any more to show you, but it's by Fancy Pants Design, and it's called the Blissful Blizzard Collection, which I actually got last winter and I didn't get a chance to use it, so I used it this time. But like I always say, whatever kind of paper you have that you have in mind or in your stash or whatever is going to look really awesome. So I've got all my pieces cut out to show you how these items go together, so let's get started. So first let's start out with our lever card, which you can see here actually folds down flat. It's really just two pieces of paper that have been cut that you then decorate. So the exterior of the card is quite simple, just like a regular card, and the interior of the card is just a rectangle that is scored and cut to look like this. So you want yours to fold this way also. So what we're going to do first is put some glue on this front panel here. And we just want a nice thin even layer of glue going out to the corners, and just the right amount, not too much, not too little. And then we want to position this so that the corners line up. And glue those together. I'm going to lay it flat so that I can press down on top of my work surface here. And I went ahead and cut this one out of some leftover Valentine paper that I have from last year because, well, Then next what we're going to do is just put glue on this back rectangle, because I was really thinking that this card could totally be the basis for any kind of design. And the next season that I have in mind is definitely Valentine's Day. So there we go, that's it, that's the base of our card. And it goes like this, and as you can see, you just want to decorate this little front part here. And then if you want to write or stamp here, you can use this interior piece, this nice long rectangle, to go inside. Next, for our small snowflake box, I'm going to put together the lid, and I have my lid pieces here, which is just these two pieces and these two pieces. And these two are identical to each other, and all we want to do is glue them together using this side tab. And this really pretty paper, actually, I just took down my 2013 calendar because today is New Year's Day. I put up my new calendar, and instead of throwing away my old one, I actually used the paper from it because it's so pretty. It's from Paper Source. Okay, so we've got the other side tab glued down, and now, as you could probably guess, we just want to glue the larger of these two, which is this one, right to the top. So a lot of times I will just put glue on the whole entire thing and just place the top right on, but I want to make sure everything lines up really nicely, so the best way to do that is to start one at a time, and then to not actually, you could work your way around in a circle, but sometimes when you get to the other, when you make your way around the circle and you finish it up, maybe if something was a tiny bit off, then you can really see that it is off. So I think it's a good idea to jump across to the other side and do that tab next. And then we just want to glue the rest of these down by getting a little bit of glue in there and gluing those into place, and doing the same thing on the other two remaining tabs. Then once those are all glued down, you can take your liner piece, which is the smaller of the two, and you just want to glue that into the top. And that just hides all those tabs and reinforces it and finishes it off, makes it look nice. So there's our lid, and as you can see, I did a plain lid because there's no circular cutout on the inside. So if you're doing yours with the circular cutout, you can see that the liner actually allows for the circle to show through, and that's just a piece of vellum in between those two pieces. So for the bottom of this box, I'm not even going to put it together because it works the same exact way as the lid just did. It's just these two pieces that are the sides, and then the bottom. One of them's a little bit smaller, that goes on the inside at the end. Next, for our large snowflake box, it is 12-sided and it has this really pretty snowflake on the top and everything. I actually cut mine out of Valentine paper again, and I'm doing a plain version, which means that my sides are just plain. So these are the non-plain sides, and as you can see, it has this nice cutout design that shows this little snowflakey thing here. And as you can see, when you fold these tabs under, it's gonna, show through the design. So if you're doing it that way, that's how yours will look, or if you're doing it plain, it's going to look like this. So there are three pieces like this, and then there's the lid and the liner. So just like our last box, this really works the same way, except that it's got some tabs that are on the bottom here that reinforce the sides, make them a little stronger, and it keeps everything nice and straight. So what I'm doing now is I'm just gluing all three of these pieces together, side tab, using the side tabs. And then, while it's still flat, I would like to fold these tabs under and glue those under. But I want to not glue this first one here yet. I want to do that after I do the rest of them, because it's gonna cover up a tab that we're gonna glue closed next. So what you want to do is go ahead and glue all of these tabs over, all 12 of them. So go ahead and do that now. So as you can see, all of my tabs are glued under except for this one, like I said. And the next step is to put some glue on this final side tab here and glue that closed. And then we can go ahead and glue this last tab under and in place. So again, just like the last box that we did, it's a good idea to start one at a time and make sure that you've got the larger of the two shapes, which is the lid. Decide what side you want to show if you have double-sided paper, and glue one into place. Then we want to jump across and glue the opposite side into place. And then you just want to work your way around. I think I'll jump across next to a tab that's between the two that are glued. Once I get this into place here. So then this one here is in the middle between the two that are glued. So I'm going to glue that next. And then I'll glue the opposite side to this one in place. And then I'll just glue the rest of them into place. And doing it in that order kind of makes sure that everything falls into place as nicely as possible. And then you just want to glue this at the end into the top to reinforce it and finish it off. And you've got your lid. So the bottom, which I'm not going to show right now, goes together. This is the bottom. It goes together the same way, except there's no tabs that fold over on the sides. So next for our gazebo, I've got my pieces laid out here. It's 8-sided, so there are 8 pieces that look like this, except one of them is a doorway, so it has a larger cutout, but they all go together the same way. And then there's some nice trim here, which goes on the front, as well as a piece of vellum, which goes onto the back. So the first thing you want to do is glue your vellum onto the back of your pieces. And you want to make sure it's a nice thin little line so that when you press down, the glue doesn't show through onto the front and get all over your vellum on the front of it. And we'll just pop that right into place. So you want to go ahead and do this with all 8 sides. And each piece of vellum is identical. So again, looking at the front of my piece here, you can see that not only does the top fold this way, but that the tabs are on the side here, so that you know when you flip it over, you're looking at it from the back side, these tabs are on this side over here. So at this point, let's go ahead and glue all of our trim onto the front of all 8 pieces as well. So I just want a nice little thin line of glue all the way around. It's a thin piece, so it takes a little extra care to get the glue in the right places. And that just goes right on the front. And whether you cut that out of the same color or a different color or a pattern or something, even when they're both the same color, like white on white like I have here, it still adds a lot of nice dimension and makes it look even more realistic and pretty. So once you have your vellum and your trim in place, you can go ahead and put your snowflake right in the middle if that's what your design, if you're doing a winter one with snowflakes. And then what we want to do, once those are all ready, all 8 of them, is start to glue them side to side. And as you can see, I went ahead and started doing that. And by that, I just mean we're only going to glue one tab right now, just this one long one, not these other 2 up here, because I think it's easier to be able to lay it flat and just go ahead and glue them all together side to side. And it does not matter what order you go in. there's only one of them that is different, it's the door. And no matter what order you glue them in, it just doesn't matter because the door will end up where it ends up. It's not going to make a difference. So once you've got all 8 of your pieces glued together and all your trim and everything, as you can see, this doorway trim looks slightly different. It fits perfectly. Then you can go ahead and glue them together once again with just this one long tab. And I've got that in place. And yours will look a little different because you've got all your trim and all your vellum and your snowflakes if you're using them all together. Mine is a little bit empty just for the purposes of this video here. So the next thing we want to do is work our way all the way around the whole top of our gazebo, gluing these 2 tabs into place. So I'm just going to, I put glue on both of them, and then I'm going to line one up and hold it for a few seconds so it gets a chance to dry. And then I will pop the other one into place. So you want to go ahead and do that all the way around the entire top. So I'm just gluing together my final one here. The rest of mine are all glued together. And again, same process, just kind of go one at a time, give it a chance to dry before you put the other one into place. So I've got my gazebo here and I flipped it over. This is the bottom facing up here. And as you can see, yours is probably a little bit like, not warped really. I mean, I'm sure you glued it together nicely, but just based on the shape of it, it's easy for it to kind of go out of alignment. So that's why we want to put the bottom into place. And the bottom is the larger of these 2 shapes here. And if you have been watching the earlier projects in this video, you will have heard me say this, that I think the easiest way to get the bottom on lined up really nicely is to go one at a time, and you could work your way around in a circle, one side, you know, gluing these tabs into place in a circle around. You could do that, but I think that you have a better chance of everything being lined up more perfectly if you jump across to the other side and do that tab next. That way, everything just kind of falls into place even easier and more perfectly. So I'm just gluing all these down one at a time, lining them up and all that. So once you get down to the final 4 tabs, it's going to be easier if you go in from the inside and lift it up and put a line of glue from the inside and then press it down, which is going to be almost impossible to show you here in this video, but what I just did is what I said. I went ahead and I lifted this up, I put glue in there, and then I pushed down from the inside. So once you've got all 8 pieces, or all 8 tabs on the bottom, when you've got your bottom glued into place, then you can go ahead and glue this liner into place in the bottom, which covers up those tabs and reinforces it and makes it nice. So let's take a look at our roof. I'm going to set the gazebo aside for just a second. So now for the roof of our gazebo, I have my pieces laid out here. It's, again, the whole gazebo is 8-sided, so there's 8 of these roof pieces that look just like this. And as you can see, it's folded so that this rectangle here is kind of going away from you. So you want all your pieces to be folded like this. And then I think now is the time to embellish your roof pieces with as you can see, I've got this piece, this big white piece here with a snowflake cut out of it, and then a snowflake in the middle, and some snow right here, as well as up on the top I've got this silver glitter piece with a white glitter snow piece on top of it. And then also if you want to add some bling. now is a good time to do that because it's nice and flat. You can push down and it's easier that way. So once you've got all 8 of your pieces embellished how you want them to be, and don't worry yet about your icicles. Those will be going on at the end, on the inside. So once you've got all 8 of those pieces, you can go ahead and start to glue them together. So to do that, I'm going to put glue on the entire row of tabs here on just one piece, and then you can work your way up in the same order. Like if you put glue on from the bottom to the top like I did, then you want to work your way up from the bottom to the top, just one at a time, and give each tab a chance to dry a little bit before you move on to the next one. And again, your pieces here will be embellished and decorated. Mine are just plain so that I can show you how it works. So go ahead and glue together in that same manner all 8 of these pieces. So as you can see, I am just gluing together my final seam here, and that will be all 8 sides together nicely. And I'm kind of jumping ahead, or not. Whatever works best. You just want to get all those pieces lined up nicely, and it just kind of falls, mostly just kind of falls into place. So the next thing that we want to do is put a little bit of glue up on the top, and there's a little 8-sided shape that's going to go up here, but you want to go ahead and put your little panel on top of it before you glue it on. It's a little easier that way. So you've got, once you put your little panel on this piece, you can glue that into place. And by little panel, I'm talking about this little guy here. So that's in place. I can flip it over and push down from the inside. And now at this point, since I'm making an icicle version, I've got 8 of these pieces, and I want to put glue on the face of it and glue that right on the inside. And we want to make sure that these icicles are lined up, and this nice interior piece just kind of finishes it off, strengthens it, keeps it straight, covers up the tabs, and then it has these cute little icicles on the front. So if you're not using the icicles and you're making yours plain, yours will have one more little tab down here, or one more little piece here. Instead of icicles, it's a rectangle basically, which is built into the roof itself. So next, let's take a look at our gazebo base, which is, on my project, for mine, it is this brown, nice brown paper here. And to make the gazebo base, it is these 4 pieces that look like this to form the sides, and then just one piece here, which is the top. There is no bottom because it's just going to get glued right onto the lid of our box. However, if you are skipping the box bottom of your project, like in other words, if you're just making the gazebo on the base, you can look in your extras folder to find another shape like this, which you can use as the bottom of your base. But if you're making yours just like mine is pictured with the box and everything, then your base will be like mine. So if you are using panels on the sides of your gazebo base, there would be 8 of them, and you can glue those on right now. I skipped those for my project because my paper was so pretty, but if you want to use them for whatever reason, you can go ahead and put those on now. And then what we want to do is glue all 4 of these together using these side tabs until they are all together, forming basically a ring of sides. And then, as you could probably guess, we are going to glue the top right onto it. So it does not matter whether it's going like this or like this. And once again, we want to start by just gluing one tab at a time into place. So I've got this lined up real nice, and everything is going to fall into place nicely because I'm going to jump across to the opposite side and glue that one into place. And I'll just put that on my work surface and press down from the other side. And then I'm going to glue one that's between the two that I glued and press down from the inside. And then I'll jump across to the opposite side to glue this into place. And now there are just 4 left to do, which I will. Now I'm going to do everything right here on my work surface. So to get into these, I want to just lift up the tab, put a line of glue, and then press down. And I can do that for the remaining 4 tabs. You can take your time a little more than me and be more meticulous and careful, but you get the idea. So now all 8 of mine are glued in place, and this is just going to get glued right onto our lid. So let's make our lid. So now for the lid of my box, I've got 8 pieces. Again, it looks kind of similar to the base, except that for these, this tab here is a little bit different from this one down here. So when you're looking at it, you want to make sure that this side tab is on the right side of your piece, and you've got 4 ones that are identical to this. So this is the top, and this is going to get folded under as reinforcement. So once again, just glue all 4 of them together using the side tabs, and just work your way all the way around. So now all of my sides are glued together, and I'm going around gluing under the larger tab. So again, this tab here on the bottom is larger than this one up here. This is the top, the smaller one's the top, and this bottom one is getting glued underneath like this. So I'm working my way all the way around, gluing all of these into place. So here is my lid almost done, and I just want to put the top into place, which is the larger of these 2 shapes. And again, you just want to start one at a time. Just pick one, glue that into place first, onto your top. And then, like I've said a couple times so far, the easiest way to keep everything aligned is to jump across and glue this one next, and then glue these 2 next, and then the other 4. So once your top is glued into place, you can flip it over, and you can finish it off by gluing this liner into place as well. So the next thing we can do is take a look at the bottom of this box, which I'm not going to show how it goes together because it works just like the lid did, except there are no reinforcing tabs that fold over. So it's nice and simple, it goes together the same way, nice and easy. And now we can glue our gazebo to our base. Here's my base, and all I want to do is put glue on the entire surface of the bottom of my gazebo, and then I want to line it up as perfectly as possible on my base, as centered as possible. And once that's glued in place, I can flip it over and put glue on all 8 of these tabs, and then I can place that right on top of my finished, pretend that this is finished, glue that right on top of my finished box lid. So let's take a look at my nice finished gazebo. So as you can see, my finished gazebo here is obviously the lid, and then the gazebo is glued onto the base, which is glued onto the box lid, and my candles are flying around in there. So that's the gazebo, and super cute. So finally, for our ice skate, I've got my pieces laid out here, and it's made up mainly of these pieces. So we've got this one big kind of wacky large piece, and then these two, which are going to fit right here, and then we've also got these two pieces which fit right here. But first, let's just take a look at the one piece, the one main piece, because first we want to get our laces into it before we start to finish it off too much. So in order to do that, what I want to do is first I want to put together the front of my skate basically. I want to basically get it like this so that I can put my panels in place and my laces, because if I wait till the end to do the laces, it's going to be almost impossible to get up inside the skate. So let's start by, there's a tiny little flap right here which we can just ignore. We do not need to bother trying to glue that. It's kind of just there to cover up the gap a little bit when everything gets put into place. So I'm going to put glue on all of these tabs going all the way up in a line here. And then I just want to line everything up one at a time, give it a chance to dry a little bit before I move on to its neighbor. So I just want to do my best to line up the edges of everything, because the more careful I am, the better the rest of it will go into place. And there's my final tab. So next I want to do the same thing down here, and as you can see, these tabs are kind of shaped funny. That's just so that they don't show through the holes. So once again, we can ignore this tiny little sliver down there and just put glue on all these tabs going up in a line here. And once again, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to give each one a moment to take hold before I move on. And I'm going to work my way up, taking my time, making sure everything's lined up really nicely. And there's the final one. So at this point, I want to grab my panels for the front of my skate. And on my finished one, you can see that I used this really pretty white flocked paper. It's fuzzy. And then this really pretty glittered paper here, and again the same flocked paper over there. So for this video, I did not pick out really pretty paper. I just grabbed some more white, but it works the same way. And I just want to put glue all over this whole piece and put it into place on my skate. And there's another one on the same, there's another one on the opposite side that works the same way. And this just allows you to use some real pretty paper to decorate it and kind of create more of a smooth surface even. And then for the tongue of my skate, the very front of it, this is the panel. On my other one I used glitter, but again this is just real plain. And I want to line that up on the bottom with, just has like a slight border around it. And then I'm just smoothing it right onto the front. And as you can see up here, there's just a small border around it also. And then you can go ahead and put the other one on this side too. So one thing that I forgot to mention, it's not too late, is these little donut shapes. There are 4 of them, and you put 2 on this side and 2 on that side, and that just reinforces your holes, so that when you're you know, hanging it, it's nice and strong. So for my laces, I used this ribbon. It's probably about 1/4 of an inch white satin ribbon from American Crafts. And I think, you know, a little bit thinner, a tiny bit thicker would also work. And what I did actually is I put a piece of Scotch tape on the end of it, and then I cut it into a really sharp point so that it's nice and strong and pointy, and it makes it a lot easier to stick into the holes. And for this ice skate, I used about 70 inches of ribbon because I wanted a lot left over at the top to hang from. And then you can always cut off if it's too much. But if you're ever not sure how much ribbon to use, something that I do is I just kind of estimate by sort of like pretending that I am lacing it up. And I might say, okay, this should be about enough, plus some extra for the, you know, the laces. And then I also wanted to hang, let's say that I wanted to also hang that much. And then maybe I would just throw in a little bit more for good measure, and then cut it off. So I've got my piece of lace here, my laces, my ribbon, and I put a piece of tape on the top, and then I'm going to cut it into a point. And my scissors are actually pretty dull because I use them so much. Luckily that worked. So this makes it easier to use, and if you want to do the other side also, you probably should, because that makes it easier to lace up if you can do it from both ends of the ribbon or whatever you're using. So again, cutting it into a nice point, which of course we will trim off at the end. So I want to find, well, the first thing I want to do is I want my first lace to look like this, not be an X. So I want to make sure that this is the shiny side of my ribbon here. And I'll just pull that through to somewhere close to the middle. And stick this other one inside. So I want to make sure that it's flat across the top, and then I want to make sure that it's centered too. So to do that, I'm going to see, oh, I've got some extra here, so I just want to, basically you just want to pull it and adjust it until your ice skate is centered on your piece of ribbon. So there is my first lace. It's nice and centered, and now I'm basically just going to lace it up like I would lace up a shoe. And all I'm doing is just kind of keeping it flat so it's not twisting around, and crisscrossing it just like I would with a regular lace. Which I'm sure you have done before, so it's not too crazy. So those are coming out the front, and as you can see, there's a little X back there in the back side. And now I'm going to put it through the front, and I'm going to kind of just gently hold it so it stays flat with my thumb here. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. So now all you want to do is just work your way up your skate, crisscrossing it and keeping it nice and flat and cute. So there are my laces all laced up. You can see from the inside there's 3 X's. And then I have a lot of extra ribbon, which I actually think looks really cool to leave, and so I just tied it in a little knot right here, and then I need to trim off the ends. So next we can start to put the rest of our skate together. Next I'm going to take this piece here, which is similar to this one, but I'm talking about this one here with this point on this side. And that is going to get glued right here. So to do that, I'm going to put glue on all 4 of these tabs here on the side of my skate. And I want to make sure that this point lines up here. So I'm gluing this tab first actually so that I can get a good look at this corner. And then I'm gluing the one below it into place. And then the tab above it into place, and then the final top tab into place. And like I always say, you want to give each one a little bit of a chance to take hold and dry before you move on to the next one. So next we can take this is the back of our skate. I think I forgot to show this when I was first showing all the pieces laid out. This is the back, which you will have cut out too. And we can go ahead and put glue on these 2 tabs and glue this back into place, 1 tab at a time. So next, continuing across the back, continuing across the back of our skate, we want to put just a tiny little dot of glue on that really small tab, and let's glue the top one into place first because it's nice and big. We can really get everything lined up, and then you can see exactly where that really small one goes. And the same thing goes for the next one here. Just a little small line of glue on that small tab, and then I will put this top one into place first, and then you can see where that little tiny one goes. And now here's a big empty space, which you can tell this actually goes right into. And in case you had a doubt, there is a little square right here, and there's a little square right here. So that's kind of there to just tell you that this goes right here. So next we will put a line of glue on these 3 tabs and glue this next piece into place. And again, I'm just going one at a time, giving each one a chance to take hold before I move on. And now next, I can see that this seam can go together nicely. So I'm going to skip this bottom one here. That's part of the sole of the shoe. And I'm going to put glue on these 4 tabs. And once again, put them into place one at a time. I'm actually going to start at the top because it just seems a little bit easier. And that way I can make sure that the top is lined up real nice. And again, I'm going 1 tab at a time, making sure that the edge of my paper is lined up nicely with the crease. So there we go. And now there is a little hole here we can fill in, and we've got 2 kind of similar pieces, and just to avoid any confusion, this one has a little tiny circle cut out of the bottom of its tab, this one has a triangle. So over here I can see a circle. That means that this one with the circle goes on this side. So I'm going to start by putting glue only on this top tab up here, and then putting this into place, and that's going to anchor the whole piece so that I can then glue the rest of it into place. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on each of these tabs, on all 6 of them. As long as it's easy to get in here, I might as well put glue on all 6 of them. And then fold these into place. Let's start on the other side actually. And it kind of just, all 3 of these kind of fall into place. So I'm almost kind of just doing them all together, whatever works best for you. And this is actually going to be covered up by a panel, so don't worry too much about it. Just do your best to glue it and line it up as nice as you can. And then we can go ahead and do the same thing on the other side with this piece. So here is my skate, and it's really starting to take shape. So the next thing I want to do is glue this panel into place. And you can see on my finished skate, it's this pretty pattern, but for this video here, I just grabbed some white paper, and it's not as exciting as the pretty snowflake paper, but you get the idea. So I just want to line this up at the top with it's got a really thin little border around it on all sides. And I'm doing this now before I put the bottom of my skate in place, because I want to be able to reach in here and glue it down. So you want it to be nice and smooth and kind of curved a little bit up here towards the toe. And I don't think I put enough of an even layer of glue on mine. It's kind of bunching up here at the toe. So you want to make sure that you have a nice, really even, thin layer of glue on your whole entire piece. And then you can smooth it down and really squeeze out any glue, bubbles of glue or anything. So there's that piece. There's a little snowflake that goes in here. You can decorate it. And then across the back side, you can go ahead and glue these back panels into place, which go like this. And there's a third one there. And then we can glue our bottom into place. So let's take a look at that.
What's that?
This goes on at the end right here.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. I've got my blade here. It's 2 pieces, and then there's also 2 panels that go on top of the blade. So for my finished skate, you can see that I used silver glitter paper for my panels on my blade, and then I used this nice metallic paper for my blade. So the way that I want to start to put this together is I want these top parts to be folded away from me, and I want to put glue on the whole entire inside surface of my blade. So I want a nice thin even layer of glue going all the way out to the edges and everything, and then I want to take my other piece and place that right on top, being sure that it's nicely lined up, right one on top of the other. And yours will also have your panels in place, or you can go ahead and put them on right now. So here is the bottom of my skate, and as you can see, I went ahead and put my 8 brads in the 8 holes, and I've got it folded like this. So what I want to do is actually first before I put my blade on, first I want to put the bottom onto the skate. And to do that, we actually want to grab an X-Acto knife, or maybe if you have an X-Acto knife and you would like to dedicate one of your, maybe a dull blade that you have, to glue, that is what I did. Because in just a minute here, it's going to start to get a little difficult to glue these tabs into place because there won't be a lot of space to insert the glue. So in order to get the glue in, I put a little dot, and then I use my X-Acto knife to get the glue inside, which I will show you here in just a second. So first, as you can see, I am just gluing these first 3 tabs on the toe of the skate into place. And I really want to hold it for a little bit here so it can take hold. And then push down a little bit from the inside and make sure it's really taking hold there. And then what I want to do is work my way around 1 tab at a time. And as you can see, it's a little difficult for even my precision tip glue nozzle to get in that hole. And I have this X-Acto knife, which I use to just kind of push the glue all the way underneath there. It just ensures that I'm getting a nice hold and there's not going to be a gap on that side. So actually what I started doing was just putting like a dot of glue there and then using my X-Acto to really get in there. Or if you have some other kind of similarly shaped tool laying around, you can use that. So now I am just working my way around my skate here. Just 1 tab at a time. Doing my best to line everything up as nicely as possible. And if you take your time, it's not difficult at all. You're just lining it up and going slow, taking your time and having some crafty fun, because once you're all done, it's going to look so awesome. So my pieces are nice and lining up nicely. And then we're just going to continue doing the same thing around the heel, except that, as you can see, these pieces are actually going to be held into place. It's not only closing up the bottom, but it's just holding those pieces into place also. So that meant, by doing it that way, that meant that we got to have fewer pieces to glue together, which hopefully means that this whole thing was pretty simple. It's as simple as possible, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the rest of these tabs. As well as in here. And I'm just going to glue them into place one at a time, just real carefully lining them up nicely and holding them in place as they dry. And then I can basically just close this right up. And it might not be touching, the tabs might be kind of like a little bit loose in there, so I'm just going to hold it a little bit longer than usual, give the glue a chance to take hold, and then I can reach in from the inside and finish squeezing it together as the glue is drying. And now at this point I can go ahead and get my Actually, I should probably, if I had a pencil handy, I would just use that to, you know, the eraser side of it to push down on those tabs in the heel to make sure that they're really taking hold. But that worked pretty well, even without that last step. So the last thing to do is just glue this into place. And it just goes like this, as you can see right on top of these small brads. So all we want to do is put glue on the entire surface, you know, obviously all 4 of these pieces here, and then just carefully glue those right into place. So now all that's left to do is take this final panel and glue that right onto the heel of our ice skate. And as you can see on my finished one, it's got all the panels and everything looking very nice. So there you have it, really fun winter projects for you to work on and enjoy. And if you make any of these, you'll definitely have to share pictures like you always do on our Facebook wall or in our forum, or you know, on your blog, pin them on Pinterest, put them on Instagram, really anything. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time, and happy crafting.
Learn more by visiting www.svgcuts.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and watch all of our crafty videos on YouTube. It's a world of crafty content with you in the middle. SVGCuts.com, inspiring you to live creatively and beautifully.